This unit discusses the nature of compensation as an important factor affecting how and why people choose to work at one organization over others. Today, employers must be reasonably competitive with the several types of compensation, in order to hire, keep, and reward the performance of individuals in the organization. To introduce the overview of compensation, from the employer's point of view, the pay is a powerful tool for meeting the organization's goals. Pay has a large impact on employee attitudes and behaviors. It influences which kinds of employees are attracted to and remain with the organization. By rewarding certain behaviors, it can align employees' interests with the organization's goals. Employees care about policies affecting earnings because the policies affect the employee's income and standard of living. It is doubtful, however, whether any of us would continue working were it not for the money we earn. Pay, therefore, is a major consideration in human resource management because it provides employees with a tangible reward for their services, as well as a source of motivation. Besides the level of pay, employees care about the fairness of pay compared with what others earn. Also, employees consider paying a sign of status and success. They attach great importance to pay decisions when they evaluate their relationship with their employer. For these reasons, organizations must carefully manage and communicate decisions about pay. At the same time, the pay is a major cost. Its share of total costs varies widely from one industry or company to another. At the low end, the wholesaling industry spends over 5% of revenues on payroll expenses. At the other extreme, transportation, entertainment, and healthcare companies spend more than 25% to almost 40% of revenues on the payroll. Managers have to keep this cost reasonable. Let us now discuss the meaning of compensation. What is in your mind when you hear this word? Compensation is the equivalent in any form that is given to the individual for his work. Compensation is the set of rewards that organizations provide to individuals in return for their willingness to perform various jobs and tasks within the organization. It is all forms of financial returns and tangible services and benefits employees receive as part of an employment relationship. It could be monetary and non-monetary rewards given to the employees in return for their work done for the organization. The compensation is in the form of salaries and wages. The basic purpose of the establishment of sound compensation and reward administration is to establish and maintain an equitable compensation structure. Yes, I repeat, to establish and maintain an equitable compensation structure. A sound wage and salary administration tries to achieve these objectives. For employees are paid according to the requirements of their jobs, i.e., highly skilled jobs are paid more compensation than low-skilled jobs. This eliminates inequalities. 2. The chances of favoritism, which creep in when wage rates are assigned, greatly minimized. 3. Job sequences and lines of promotion are established wherever they are applicable. 4. Employees' morale and motivation are increased because a wage program can be explained and is based upon facts. To employers, a sound wage and salary administration can help them systematically plan for and control their labor costs. 2. In dealing with a trade union, they can explain the basis of their wage program because it is based upon a systematic analysis of job and wage facts. 3. A wage and salary administration reduces the likelihood of friction and grievances over wage inequities. 4. It enhances an employee's morale and motivation because adequate and fairly administered wages are basic to his wants and needs. 5. It attracts qualified employees by ensuring an adequate payment for all the jobs. Let us also look at the suggestions of Patton that in compensation policy there are 7 criteria for effective not-ness. Compensation should be adequate to meet the needs of the employees and to acquire and retain qualified personnel. Compensation should be equitable, meaning each person should be paid fairly, in line with his efforts, abilities, and training. Compensation should be balanced. This means that pay, benefits, and other rewards should provide a reasonable total reward package. Compensation should be cost-effective, taking into consideration the company's ability to pay. Compensation should be secure. The pay should be enough to help an employee feel secure and aid him in satisfying basic needs. Compensation should be incentive-providing. Pay should motivate effective and productive work or reward desired behavior. Compensation should be acceptable to the employee. the employee should understand the payment system being followed by the company and should feel it is reasonable for the organization and for him. Compensation should be complies with legal regulations. Those are the 7 criteria for effective not compensation. Let us discuss also the 2 compensation philosophies. Entitlement orientation. The entitlement philosophy can be seen in many organizations that traditionally have given automatic increases to their employees every year. Further, most of those employees receive the same or nearly the same percentage increase each year. Employees and managers who subscribe to the entitlement philosophy believe that individuals who have worked another year are entitled to a raise in base pay and that all incentives and benefit programs should continue and be increased, regardless of changing industry or economic conditions. Commonly, in organizations following an entitlement philosophy, pay increases are referred to as cost of living raises, whether or not they are tied specifically to economic indicators. Following an entitlement philosophy ultimately means that as employees continue their employment lives, employer costs increase, regardless of employee performance or other organizational competitive pressures. Market comparisons tend to be made within an industry, rather than more broadly considering compensation in firms of all types. Bonuses in many entitlement-oriented organizations are determined very paternalistically and often do not reflect operating results. Instead, the CEO or owner acts as Santa Claus at the end of the year, passing out bonus checks that generally do not vary from year to year. Therefore, employees expect to receive the bonuses as another form of entitlement. Aside from entitlement orientation, we have also what we call performance orientation. Where a performance-oriented philosophy is followed, no one is guaranteed compensation just for adding another year to organizational service. Instead, pay and incentives are based on performance differences among employees. Employees who perform well get larger compensation increases, those who do not perform satisfactorily receive little or no increase in compensation. Thus, employees who perform satisfactorily should keep up or advance in relation to a broad view of the labor market for their jobs, whereas poor or marginal performers should fall behind. Bonuses are paid based on individual, group, and/or organizational performance results. Few organizations are totally performance-oriented in all facets of their compensation practices. However, breaking the entitlement model is increasingly occurring in the organizational restructuring common throughout many industries. A study of public sector HR managers found that there is a desire and need to shift toward more performance-oriented compensation practices in many public sector organizations. How fast that occurs, given the historical traditions and the strength of public sector unions, remains to be seen. Always remember that the pay that an employee receives from his employer is the primary reason for his being on his job. The employee works for a living. The pay received by the employee provides him with a strong incentive to do his job. The employee's rate of pay determines his status in the company. The pay determines the employee's standard of living, the comfort that he and his family have, and his standing in the community. The pay determines the employee's contribution to community development and social welfare. The pay determines the employee's purchasing power. Higher pay leads to higher production. Let us move on to the general types compensation. Compensation management is one of the most challenging human resource areas because it contains many elements and has a far-reaching effect on the organization's goals. The purpose of providing compensation is to attract, retain, and motivate employees. There are 2 main types of financial compensation: direct and indirect financial compensation. Direct financial compensation, the pay that a worker receives as wages, salaries, commissions, and bonuses. Let us differentiate wage from salary. Salary refers to the income paid to an individual not based on time but based on performance. It is usually given to professional and managerial employees or those who are performing white-collar jobs. A salary compensates an individual for his overall contribution to the organization's performance. Wages refer to the hourly compensation paid to skilled and unskilled workers or those performing blue-collar jobs, with time as the basis for the compensation. That is how we differentiate. The indirect financial compensation includes all financial rewards that are not included in direct compensation, i.e. benefits. Employee compensation includes all forms of pay and rewards received by employees for the performance of their jobs. In the image, direct compensation encompasses employee wages and salaries, incentives, bonuses, and commissions. Indirect compensation comprises the many benefits supplied by employers, and non-financial compensation includes employee recognition programs, rewarding jobs, and flexible work hours to accommodate personal needs. Indirect compensation may also include the quality of work life. The indirect financial reward may also include organizational culture. These are the norms and values defining appropriate behavior in the organization. One of the single, most important cultural expectations we encounter today is employees' confidence in the business and its leaders. Quality of leadership and supervision are also defining elements of culture. Intrinsic value can be considered also indirect financial compensation. These rewards come from the act of performing. Among such outcomes are how interesting one's work is, the degree of variety experienced, the degree of autonomy and control over one's work, the significance of the work to the business and the customers. Career opportunities may also be included as indirect. Career opportunity refers to the prospects for development and growth. For organizations, careers represent the most efficient way to grow the talent they will need to complete, while for employees, careers represent valued opportunities to grow and achieve professional and occupational goals. Let us look also at what is incentives. Incentives are paid in addition to wages and salaries and are called payments by results. Incentives depend upon productivity, sales, profit, or cost reduction efforts. There are a. Individual incentive schemes and b. Group incentive programs. Individual incentives are applicable to specific employee performance. Where a given task demands group efforts for completion, incentives are paid to the group as a whole. The amount is later divided among group members on an equitable basis. Next is fringe benefits. These are monetary benefits provided to employees. They include the benefit of a. Provident fund, b. Gratuity, c. Medical care, d. Hospitalization payment, e. Accident relief, f. Health and group insurance, g. Subsidized canteen facilities, h. Recreational facilities, and I. Provision of uniforms to employees. Another is non-monetary benefits. These benefits give psychological satisfaction to employees even when the financial benefit is not available. Such benefits are a. Recognition of merit through certificate, etc. b. Offering challenging job responsibilities, c. Promoting growth prospects, d. Comfortable working conditions, e. Competent supervision, and f. Job sharing and flexi time. Now, let us discuss the main components of compensation. Rewards can be both intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic rewards often include praise for completing a project or meeting some performance objectives. Other psychological and social effects of compensation reflect the intrinsic type of rewards. Extrinsic rewards are tangible, having the form of both monetary and non-monetary rewards. With the direct type of compensation, the employer provides monetary rewards. Base pay and variable pay are the most common forms of direct compensation. Indirect compensation commonly consists of employee benefits. Do you know what base pay is? Base pay is the basic compensation that an employee receives, usually as a wage or salary, is called base pay. Many organizations use two base pay categories, hourly and salaried, which are identified according to the way pay is distributed and the nature of the jobs. Hourly pay is the most common means of payment based on time. Employees who are paid hourly are said to receive wages, which are payments directly calculated on the amount of time worked. In contrast, people who are paid salaries receive payments that are consistent from period to period despite the number of hours worked. Being salaried typically has carried higher status for employees than being paid wages. Some organizations have switched to an all-salaried approach with their manufacturing and clerical employees in order to create a greater sense of loyalty and organizational commitment. However, they still must pay overtime to certain employees in jobs covered by federal and state pay laws. We also have what we call variable pay. Another type of direct pay is variable pay, which is compensation linked directly to performance accomplishments. The most common types of variable pay for most employees are bonuses and incentive program payments. For executives, it is common to have longer-term rewards such as stock options. Lastly, benefits. Many organizations provide numerous extrinsic rewards in an indirect manner. With indirect compensation, employees receive the tangible value of the rewards without receiving the actual cash. A benefit is an indirect reward, such as health insurance, vacation pay, or retirement pensions, given to an employee or group of employees as a part of organizational membership. Benefits. These are supplemental compensation that employees receive aside from their direct wages or incentive pay. These are not substitutes for wages or salaries. These benefits represent labor costs over and above straight-time earning. They are granted to employees to provide them with facilities and assistance and are either voluntarily granted by the company or a part of the collective bargaining agreement or required by law. They are given to employees regardless of differences in individual performance. The role of employee benefits. As a part of the total compensation paid to employees, benefits serve functions similar to pay. Benefits contribute to attracting, retaining, and motivating employees. The variety of possible benefits also helps employers tailor their compensation to the kinds of employees they need. Different employees look for different types of benefits. Employers need to examine their benefits packages regularly to see whether they meet the needs of today. At the same time, benefits packages are more complex than pay structures, so benefits are harder for employees to understand and appreciate. Even if employers spend large sums on benefits, if employees do not understand how to use them or why they are valuable, the cost of the benefits will be largely wasted. Employers need to communicate effectively so that the benefits succeed in motivating employees. Employees have come to expect that benefits will help them maintain economic security. Social Security contributions, pensions, and retirement savings plans help employees prepare for their retirement. Insurance plans help to protect employees from unexpected costs such as hospital bills. This important role of benefits is one reason that benefits are subject to government regulation. Some benefits, such as Social Security, are required by law. Other regulations establish requirements that benefits must meet to obtain the most favorable tax treatment. Principles governing employee benefits. The benefit should have mutual value to the employer and the employee. This means that whenever the employer spends an amount for benefits, he should receive something of value in return. The benefit should not interfere with the operation of the business. The cost of the benefit must be calculable and its financing within the capacity of the firm. The benefit must be capable of being uniformly and equitably administered. The benefit should be based on something measurable. Employees should take part in the administration of certain employee benefits programs. Employees must be made aware of the cost of employee benefits. Types of employee benefits and services. Economic and financial benefits. Recreational, social, and athletic services. Health and medical services. Professional services and services for employees' family welfare and convenience. Economic or financial benefits. These are intended to provide financial assistance to the employees and to their families, especially in times of sickness, accidents, old age, and unemployment. These include Christmas bonus and other bonuses, except production and incentive bonus, insurance, retirement, and pension plan, profit sharing plan, those provided by Social Security laws and Mutual Benefits Association, saving and loan facilities, credit unions, housing projects, home financing, cooperative purchasing, service awards, and transportation. Recreational, social, and athletic services. The recreational, social, and athletic program aims to provide employees with opportunities for the fruitful use of their leisure hours. Athletic, recreational, and social activities also create a friendly personality, the informal relationships among employees. Professional services. Professional services, such as employee education and vocational guidance, employee counseling, legal aid, and tax aid, are rendered to the employees by the professional staff. This is done because employees generally cannot afford to pay for these services outside. Counseling service. Counseling as a means of communicating with employees has been found to be effective in maintaining mutual understanding between the management and the employees. The general objectives of counseling are to help the employee adjust himself to the challenges of changing conditions in their living and working environment. Legal advice. Closely allied to counseling is the giving of free legal advice to employees. This program involves advice of a general nature on such matters as leases, debts, wills, tax returns, and the drawing up of legal documents. Education and self-development. The education and development of the employee is often an important concern for many firms. Services for employees' family welfare and convenience. Some companies provide certain services for the welfare and convenience of the families of their employees, such as health and medical services, commissary, housing, etc. In some firms, these services are extended to the community. Vacation and sick leave with pay. Vacation leave with pay means being away from work with the authorization and consent of the employee. The period spent on vacation leave does not interrupt the service seniority of employment. A sick leave, as the term suggests, is granted to an employee who is suffering from an ailment that prevents him from reporting for work. Leave of absence without pay. Some companies grant their employees leave of absence without pay for special purposes, such as for further education, extended illnesses, and sickness or death in the family, etc. Major factors affecting compensation. First, we discuss the internal factors. The internal factors exist within the organization and influences the pay structure of the company. These are as follows. Ability to pay. The prosperous or big companies can pay higher compensation as compared to the competing firms, whereas the smaller companies can afford to maintain their pay scale up to the level of competing firm or sometimes even below the industry standards. Point 2. Business strategy. The organization's strategy also influences the employee compensation. In case the company wants the skilled workers, so as to outshine the competitor, will offer more pay as compared to the others. Whereas, if the company wants to go smooth and is managing with the available workers, will give relatively less pay or equivalent to what others are paying. Point 3. Job evaluation and performance appraisal. The job evaluation helps to have a satisfactory differential pays for the different jobs. The performance appraisal helps an employee to earn extra on the basis of his performance. 4. Employee. The employee or a worker himself influences the compensation in one of the following ways. Performance. The better performance fetches more pay to the employee, and thus with the increased compensation, they get motivated and perform their job more efficiently. Experience. As the employee devote his years in the organization, expects to get an increased pay for his experience. Potential. The potential is worthless if it gets unnoticed. Therefore, companies do pay extra to the employees having better potential as compared to others. External factors can also affect compensation. External factors are factors that exist out of the organization but do affect the employee compensation in one or the other way. These factors are as follows. 1. Labor market. The demand for and supply of labor also influences the employee compensation. The low wage is given, in case the demand is less than the supply of labor. On the other hand, high pay is fixed, in case the demand is more than the supply of labor. 2. Prevailing pay rate. The compensation is decided on the basis of the rate that is prevailing in the industry, i.e. the amount the other firms are paying for the same kind of work. Point 3. Productivity. The compensation increases with the increase in the production. Thus, to earn more, the workers need to work on their efficiencies, that can be improved by way of factors which are beyond their control. The introduction of new technology, new methods, better management techniques are some of the factors that may result in the better employee performance, thereby resulting in the enhanced productivity. 4. Cost of living. The cost of living index also influences the employee compensation, in a way that with the increase or fall in the general price level and the consumer price index, the wage or salary is to be varied accordingly. 5. Labor unions. The powerful labor unions influence the compensation plan of the company. The labor unions are generally formed in the case where the demand is more, and the labor supply is less or are involved in the dangerous work and, therefore, demands more money for endangering their lives. The non-unionized companies or factories enjoy more freedom with respect to the fixation of the compensation plan. 6. Labor laws. There are several laws passed by the government to safeguard the workers from the exploitation of employers. The Payment of Wages Act 1936, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972 are some of the acts passed in the welfare of the labor, and all the employers must abide by these. These are the several internal and external factors that decide the amount of compensation to be given to the workers for the amount of work done by them. Another important concept we need to know in managing compensation and benefits. is job evaluation. Job evaluation is a complicated but important process in achieving pay equality. Job evaluation refers to a systematic comparison done in order to determine the worth of one job relative to another. The basic procedure is to compare the content of jobs in relation to another, like in terms of their effort, responsibility, and skills. The goal of job evaluation is to compare jobs with each other in order to create a pay structure that is fair, equitable, and consistent for everyone. This ensures that everyone is paid their worth and that different jobs have different entry and performance requirements. Conventional job evaluation methods. A. Ranking method. It is the process of evaluating jobs by comparing it with others to determine whether it is higher, lower, or the same rank. It is based on an overall judgment of the skill, effort, responsibility, and working conditions relative to the job. It involves ranking each job relative to all other jobs, usually based on overall difficulty rather than on a number of compensable factors. B. Position classification or grade description method. It is a process of grouping jobs by comparing each job against a rating scale comprising several job grades, to ascertain the grade to which each job appropriately belongs. C. Point system. Evaluates the job by appraising it separately against each of the factors or characteristics, such as skill, effort, responsibility, and working conditions, and adding up the corresponding point values to arrive at a single point score for each job. This method uses a series of rating scales, one for each of the major factors with their subdivisions which have been chosen as important in terms of the position. Factors used in the point system. 1. Skill. This includes schooling, experience, manual dexterity, supervision received, and complexity of duties. 2. Responsibility. This factor may also be further subdivided into accuracy, company funds, and materials, contact with others, confidential data, and supervision given to others. 3. Effort, mental and physical. 4. Working conditions or factors affecting the performance of the job. D. Factor comparison method. This method requires that each job be compared and ranked with other jobs be compared and ranked with the other jobs under each separate factor. There are usually 5 factors used in comparing jobs or skill requirement, mental requirements, physical effort, working conditions, responsibility. There you have it, the overview of compensation and benefits. Organizations know that attracting and keeping quality employees requires providing the right compensation and benefits package. Compensation includes wages, salaries, bonuses, and commission structures. Employers shouldn't ignore the benefits portion of employee compensation, because the benefits sweeten employment contracts with the priorities that most employees need. Having the right compensation and benefits policies and packages is a must for organizations if they want to attract top talent, increase employee motivation, boost employee loyalty, and increase productivity and profitability.